Hello, my name is Dewana Moore, and I'm your Clinical IS Educator. Today we're going to learn Cerner's Ambulatory Message Center for clinical support staff. Message Center's purpose is to provide clinically relevant communication that is saved to a patient's chart. It is also a secure way to send patient-specific data to other providers, clinicians, or the patient himself via the MyIU Health patient portal. Often, Message Center will be the opening page upon login to Cerner PowerChart. If not, you can navigate to Message Center by selecting the Messages icon on the PowerChart Organizer button bar from anywhere within PowerChart. Let's look to the left at the Inbox Summary pane, which contains 3 tabs: the Inbox, Proxies, and Pools. First, we'll look at the Inbox. The Inbox tab contains messages that are addressed to the user. It consists of 3 categories of messages: inbox items, work items, and notifications. Within each category are folders and subfolders that display both pending and total messages. For instance, you see 3 out of 4. This means we have 3 unread messages out of 4 total messages. Unopened messages will display in bold font. Opened items display unbolded. Overdue items will display in red. Subfolders do not display when there are no items in the folder. Let's click on the plus sign next to a category to expand and view additional folders within the category. Inbox items are made up of subfolders appropriate for each position level. You may only have a general message folder, or you may have other folders such as orders, results, or documents. The subfolders in work items are made up of saved documents and reminders. Notifications contain sent items, trash, and notify receipts. Now let's look at proxies. The Proxies tab allows a user to access the inbox of another user and perform any activities for which authorization has been granted. Pools. The Pools tab allows multiple users who are members of the pool to have access to a shared mailbox. All Pools members can view all items in this mailbox. An item in the mailbox is considered complete when any one of the pool members processes and deletes the item. Let's double-click on any item to open and view it in the Summary pane workspace. Click the X on the Patient Name tab to close the message. Our first activity in this session will be sending a message. Let's send a new message. Click on the Communicate tab from within Message Center. The new message window will display. The new message button bar contains the following: Hi, which is selected to indicate a high priority status. Please note, this does not replace contacting a provider for emergencies. You would want to use your current method to communicate in an urgent matter. Notify, in which a notify receipt is generated when a message or reminder is overdue, not opened, or completed. Message Journal, all inbox messages for the selected patient across the organization. The sending features include patient name, the caller. This defaults to the patient's name. You will need to change this field if the caller and the patient are not the same. The call or phone number. It defaults to the patient's number. You would also want to change this field if the callback number is different. The To field. This is the selected recipient of the message. CC. Additional selected recipients. Please note, it is not recommended to use this function as it can create duplicate clinical notes. The subject field. This is the title of the message. We recommend making the subject line very specific so it will be easier to find the message you are looking for after the message has been filed away in clinical notes. The Include Me box. By selecting this, a copy of the message is sent to the creator's inbox. Save to Chart. This is set on the back end, and all clinical messages will be saved to the chart. The only exception to this would possibly be a reminder you sent to yourself. The message area, or the body of the message. This is the area where you can free text or use auto text. The quick action boxes. By selecting any one of these items, a bolded line stating the action is added under the subject line. Let's go back to the patient line. We will begin typing in our patient name, starting with the last name, a comma, a space, and then the first name. The patient search window displays. Let's select the correct patient by using the required number of identifiers, such as gender or birth date, and then select the correct encounter. The encounter should be your clinic location and outpatient type, and click OK. Next, click your cursor in the To box to begin selecting recipients. We search for recipients of our communication in the same way we search for patients. We will start by typing in the first few letters of our recipient's last name and then click on the binoculars. The address book will open. Select the correct recipient's name and click on the Add button to place the name in the Send field. If this is someone you communicate with often, right-click on their name and select Add to Personal Address Book. To remove someone from your personal address book, select Personal Address Book from the drop-down arrow under the words Show Names From. The address book opens and you can right-click to remove this person. We won't remove them right now. We still contact them often, so we will click OK and close this window. Notice how the name has now been populated into the To line with a red X, indicating you can remove this person if you entered them incorrectly. You can also click on the Include Me button if you desire to have a copy of your communication. We will select this during this activity so we can view the message we have sent. Note the checkable box next to Consumer. If you would desire to send this message or a copy of the message to the patient, by selecting the To Consumer box, you will be selecting the patient's portal account inbox, and our message will be routed there. If the patient does not have a portal account, you will not be able to select this option. Now let's make the subject field specific. It is recommended to change the subject so that it reflects the specific nature of the message. This will become the title of the message in the recipient's inbox. So let's put there that the patient wants recent lab results. Note the Save to Chart checkbox is already selected. If needed, note the drop-down arrow next to As and select your note type. This may already be set up for you. Always double check to make sure, as this is where your message will be filed in clinical notes. Type your communication in the body of the message. Remember to keep your comments professional and objective, as these are written communications saved in the patient's chart. Or instead of typing this message, you can click on one of the quick action boxes. Let's select the Call Patient with Results. Click on the Send button when complete. And remember, we need to refresh. Our next activity will be creating a phone message encounter. A new message should always be associated to the most recent encounter for the clinic location. When no previous encounter exists for your clinic, a phone message encounter should be created. This is important for appropriate routing of electronic prescriptions, outside order requisitions, and order tasks that are all dependent upon the clinic location associated with the proper encounter. If misrouted, orders and tasks may be missed, thus delaying patient care. Let's create a message and create this phone message encounter, because an appropriate encounter is not listed when we search for our patient. Let's click on the Communication button from within Message Center. Type in the patient's last name, comma, space, first initial in the name field, and click Enter or the binoculars. Select your correct patient, then select the Add Encounter button at the bottom of the patient search window. The organization window opens to facility name. Most facilities will begin with IU Health, so type IU. See our choices? For Riley, type RI. See these choices. To display all facilities, simply type in an asterisk and scroll down to locate your facility. For today's training, we will select IUH Methodist Hospital as our facility. Then select OK. The phone message encounter displays and looks very similar to the registration conversation. Note fields in yellow are required to be completed. Notice all fields are filled in except for the nurse ambulatory. Let's select the drop-down arrow here, and we can select our specific clinic location. One other field is also required, and this is the My IU Health field. For today's training, we will simply select Unable to Offer and select OK. We could complete the message from here and send, but for now, let's just click the red X to delete the message and start our next activity. Remember to refresh. Our next activity will be replying to a message. Open a message in your inbox by double-clicking on it. Note, you can reply, reply all, or forward. We will not be using the reply all button. It is recommended that you forward a communication after it has been completed. If you use CC or reply all, you are messaging more than one person, which can create several different clinical notes about the same item. Please note this button of interest, which is called the Summary View. By clicking on the Summary View, you receive a short summary of your patient that includes his medical problems, allergies, home medications, and visits. This may aid you in determining an appropriate reply. Let's go to the inbox view to go back to Message Center. Now click on Reply. The message window opens and the original message is shown below. Since you cannot identify which lab results your patient wants, you are going to ask the person who sent you this request. Click in the very first space in the message window and note this message will be added as an addendum. A word to the wise. It is recommended when working in Message Center to do, document, and delete. The reason it is recommended to delete the message after you have completed it is because Cerner refreshes in real time. If you have completed your communication and are waiting for a response, the original message will include your question as well as the reply. All messages will be stored in clinical notes. If someone has taken an action on your communication without your knowledge, you would not be responding to the most current information by responding to an old message where your part has already been completed. See the checkbox that says delete next to the send button? That is there to remind you to delete the messages when you're done with them. Let's check it and click send. Our next activity will be sending a message to a pool. Remember earlier when we discussed the different inboxes in Message Center? One that you may be using will be a pool. An example of a pool might be a scheduling pool where all messages regarding scheduling an appointment for a patient appear. These would be managed by several members of the clinic who schedule appointments. And another example might be a prescription refill pool. All messages pertaining to medication refills would be routed to this pool for members of that pool to handle. Our patient has called in and wants a refill of a medication, but has no refills left. He's left a voicemail message requesting your office call in one more refill. You take this message and then you are going to route it to the refill pool. Let's click on the Communicate button. Let's enter our patient's name, select the correct patient, and our outpatient encounter from the patient search window. In the To line, click on the binoculars at the end of that line. This will pull up the address book. It defaults to the Personnel Radio button, but this address book also contains pool addresses. If we change the radio button from Personnel to Pool, we can search there for the pool we want. Our refill pool is called Training Refill Pool, so we will start typing the word training in the blank space. We have two training pools. We will select the refill pool and click the Add button to place that pool in our Send To box. While we're at it, let's right-click on the Training Refill pool and add it to our personal address book and select OK. Let's look at another button in this view, which is Launch Orders. By selecting Launch Orders from Message Center, you are taken to the Add Order screen. This is helpful if this message is about a refill on a medication. Let's remember to make our subject line specific. So let's write about the refill in the subject line. Type in your message to whoever receives this message. You are not sure of all the medication details, so you will select the Launch Order button in order to view the medication from the patient's active medication list. You will find the details there, of 10 milligrams PO daily. Click the red X to close out of this med list. Type this information in the body of the message. And click Send. Occasionally, we will want to see the string of messages regarding our patient. An easy way to do this is through our next activity, which is viewing a patient's messages from the message journal. Message Journal allows the user to search for messages present in any Message Center inbox. Selecting the Message Journal pulls up a patient search window. Type in the patient's name and verify you have the correct patient. Select the correct encounter and click OK. This opens up the Message Center message journal for that patient. The default range is from 1 month prior to and up to today's date. You can change this if necessary. Message Journal shows messages and reminders regarding this patient from across the entire IU system. Let's select a message and view the message in the preview pane below. You cannot open or take action from this view. Message Journal is a view only. However, you can filter the items by selecting the drop-down arrow by type and choose which items you care to view. Let's close out by clicking on the red X. Our next activity will be creating a user-level reminder. Any user can create a reminder or task for oneself or for another user, or even for a pool, to request an action be taken or an item followed up on. A reminder can also be made for communicating within the patient's chart. We will do this kind of reminder later. The activity that we are doing now is called a user-level reminder. Select the communication drop-down arrow and choose Reminder. Much like composing a message, the reminder task window has a patient field to select the patient the reminder is pertaining to, a to field to enter a recipient, a subject field, a free text field to type the message, and a send button to send the message. Our first reminder will be one for us to remind ourselves to give a copy to a patient of his MRI results when he arrives for his next scheduled appointment on November 26, 2016 at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Take out that where I put MRI results in the patient field. That was my mistake. I should have been searching for the patient. Okay. Okay, getting ready to start with
No,
me.
wait, do I need to change something on mine?
No, yours is fine.
Okay,
you
got
just
it.
said, let's search for our patient. Say that part again. Search for our patient, select the correct encounter, and talk real slow so I can type it in there.
So this sentence is in the wrong place?
No.
No, I'm just telling you what we're doing.
No, this is it right there.
Okay.
Search for our patient. Okay?
Are we starting all over?
No, we're still going.
So
Tim's going to throw all this out, and then we're going to clap again and start over.
And I'm starting right here.
Yep, right there.
Search for our patient. Select the correct encounter. Select the recipient. If the reminder is only for you, you can select the Include Me box. The Show Up and Do On fields activate once a recipient is selected. Type in the subject field an abbreviated version of your reminder. Then compose the remainder of your reminder message. The reminder will go only to you as a recipient when you uncheck the Save to Chart box. If you do want your reminder to be saved to the chart, be sure you have selected the correct note type, so it will be saved in the correct folder in Clinical Notes. Let's select the Show Up Reminder time frame. This is the day and time you want the reminder to show up in your inbox. You can either place a numeric time frame in the first Show Up field, then select the Show Up drop-down arrow to select the appropriate time frame option, or you can select the exact day you want the reminder to show up. Since you want this message to show up the day before his appointment, so you can make a copy of the MRI the day before, let's select the date field and type in 11/25 of 2016. Next, select the Due On reminder time frame. This would be the day this item is required to be completed. In this case, November 26, 2016 at 0800. This would be when the patient arrives for his appointment, and then click Send. Please note, a user-level reminder will not show up in your reminders inbox until the date you specified in the Show Up field. To query future reminders, select the top toolbar Inbox button and select Query Future Reminders. The default is similar to Message Journal, which is 1 month from today. To see all of your reminders, simply click on Select All Future Items, and then the search button and the list will populate with reminders and subjects as well as show up dates and due dates. From this list, you can opt to select the Redirect All to send all of your reminders to another person, such as when you might be gone for a while on vacation, or you can right-click and have the following options. Open the reminder, reschedule the reminder to a different date or time, or redirect a reminder to another person. Let's close our screen now and remember to refresh. Our final Message Center activity will be to create a chart level reminder. The other kind of reminder or task is called a chart level reminder. Remember, a reminder made as a chart level reminder shows up in the patient's chart in the ambulatory viewpoint. We will look at this view after sending this reminder. Let's click on the Communicate drop-down arrow and select Reminder. Let's search for our patient. Choose the correct encounter. Select the drop-down arrow Show in Chart. By selecting the chart in the Show in drop-down, the subject line will be displayed in the ambulatory viewpoint, and the reminder becomes a clickable link that will open up the reminder portion for more information. All users accessing this patient's chart will be able to see the chart level reminder. When saving a message to a patient's chart, the To and CC fields are not accessible. Notice the Show Up or Due On choices are not available because a chart level reminder shows up in the patient's chart immediately upon sending. Let's go ahead and send. Now, let's look at our chart level reminder by navigating to the ambulatory viewpoint band in the patient's table of contents. While we are in the patient's chart in Ambulatory Viewpoint, we will show you how to document completion of the task or reminder. Select the reminder you wish to complete. You can quick chart by selecting the check mark, or you may type in documentation in Add Addendum. Select Save Addendum and complete. Let's remember to refresh. Now we will be switching to the provider workflow with Message Center. For convenience, providers will have items that require their attention or an action placed into folders in their Message Center. The Orders folder contains orders which the user needs to co-sign. These orders are RVVO, RVTO, protocol required, or med student orders that have been placed with a specific provider as the ordering physician. Our first activity will be approving and refusing to co-sign an order. Select the Orders folder under Inbox Items. Double-click on a message to open the order. The order details will display. Go ahead and review the details of the order. Note, we can see history, results, comments, and any additional info and validation tabs for more information, as well as compliance history. Verify the Approve Radio button is selected. If this is the only order to co-sign, click the OK button. If there are additional orders to co-sign, click the OK and Next button. If it is not appropriate to co-sign the order at the moment, click the Next button. This order will be skipped and the user is advanced to the next message in the user folder. Let's go ahead and select OK and Next to approve this order and move on to the next order. The next order is one we will be refusing. Review the details of the order and select the Refuse Radio button. The reason and comment fields become active. The reason field is a required field. Select the drop-down arrow in the reason field. Let's select an appropriate reason for refusing the order. Then select OK. Refused orders are routed to specifically assigned personnel in order to locate the correct provider. Our next activity will be forwarding an order for co-signature. If an order is routed in error to the wrong provider's inbox, the order can be forwarded to the appropriate provider's inbox if the correct provider is known. For example, if it would be another provider in your work group. If the provider is not known to you, you may be instructed by your practice manager to refuse these orders instead of forwarding them. Warning: even though the order is forwarded to the correct provider for co-signature, the ordering physician does not change. Results associated with the order may route incorrectly. These results, however, can also be forwarded to the correct provider as well. Let's double-click on a message to open the order. Select the Forward Only button. The Forward Only window displays. Search for and select a recipient in the To field using the binoculars icon, and then select OK. In some locations, staff members may place a proposal order. This type of order is not actionable until it is signed off by the physician. In a situation like this, the order will route to your order box, and this type of order is titled Order Proposal. Let's open the proposal order we have in our inbox by double-clicking on it. Review the order details. To the right, there are 3 action icons. A green check mark. By selecting this, you are signing the order. A red strike-through circle. By selecting this, you are rejecting the proposal. And a white triangle, which indicates you wish to modify the order. Let's select the green check mark, approving this proposed order. You are brought back to the orders inbox, indicating that all proposals in your inbox have now been addressed. Next, we will be looking at results from tests we have ordered, and the results have been placed into our results folder in our inbox in Message Center. Let's review how to handle these items. Select the results folder under the inbox items. Double-click on a message to open the result. This folder contains normal and abnormal results that require physician review. Results in this folder can be reviewed, endorsed, or refused. They may also be forwarded to another clinician or sent to the patient via a MyIU Health message or by creating a letter to be mailed to the patient. Review the results. Verify the Endorse Radio button is selected in the action pane. If this is the only result to endorse, you may click on OK. If there are additional results, you may also click OK and Next, or Next to skip and move to another message. You may also forward an endorsed result to another person for follow-up. Check the additional forward action button and let's select the Call Patient with Result option. Then we will search for and select a recipient in the To field. Then click the OK button and select the X to close. Much like refusing an order, you may also refuse a result. Select the Refuse Radio button and select the appropriate reason for refusing these results. In the additional forward action field, select Sign and notice the To field becomes active. The last selected recipient defaults in the To field. You may change this name if needed. Then select OK. Message Center allows a user to forward results without signing or refusing. For example, a resident medical student can forward a result to a provider for their review and signature, or a provider can forward a result to another provider for consult or review. Let's double-click on a message to open and review the result. Select the Forward Only button. The Forward Only window displays. Select Review from the drop-down list next to Additional Forward Action. Search for and select a recipient in the To field using the binoculars icon. Then select OK. Then select OK. Next, we are going to create a letter to send to our patient regarding their test results. Let's click the drop-down arrow on the Create button. Today, we are going to create a letter, so select Letter from the drop-down arrow. In the Subject drop-down, let's select the Results template for our letter. In the Patient Message window pane, you can type free text in this area. Please take note of the Add Results button on the right side just below the message window. By selecting this tab, you will see a flow sheet with several lab results listed. You may choose which of the results to include in the letter by checking the box to the left of the desired result and then click Include Selected button below. Or you may pick Select All, then Include Selected, and all the available results from this view will be placed into the letter. Let's go ahead and select the results we wish to include and Include Selected. See the results we were able to place in the letter? Next, we have the action pane. This is where we determine what shall be done with our letter. We could have the letter printed now by changing the radio button, or we could forward the letter to one of our support staff to send out to the patient. Note, additional forward action is pre-selected to print, and there is a To field to search for our person. Let's put in Nurse Taylor. Should we want to preview our letter, we can click on the Preview button. Then select OK. Progress notes that have been saved and not signed will route to the Work Items tab in the Save Document folder. Providers can sign and modify these documents from here. Let's navigate to the Annual Physical Note, double-click, and open it. If you wish to add or change any documentation, select the Modify icon, which opens up the PowerNote template ready for editing. When ready to sign, click on the Sign icon. If no more editing is needed, you can sign from Message Center. Let's double-click to open the Pain Management Note, which is defaulted to Sign. Click OK.